Hello, Out Entrepreneurs. Rhodes Perry here, and welcome to episode number 17 of The Out Entrepreneur, a weekly podcast where I get to interview today's most inspiring LGBTQ bosses crushing it in business. On today's show, I am so thrilled to be interviewing Stan Kimmer, who's joining us from Raleigh, North Carolina. Stan, are you ready to inspire fellow out bosses?
I certainly am, and thank you very much for having me today.
Excellent. So just a little bit of background about Stan. So after 31 years of working in corporate America, Stan retired and started his encore career, forming Total Engagement Consulting, a diversity and career development consultancy. In the diversity arena, Stan is conversant in all areas of diversity and inclusion and has deep expertise in the LGBTQ marketplace and workplace. Earlier this year, Stan's firm partnered with Kinetic Inc. to launch the LGBTQ Inclusion Builder. It's a technology solution that offers enormous potential to support workplace leaders more fully welcome and engage LGBTQ stakeholders. So Stan, tell us a little bit more about your business and what makes it unique.
I think what makes it the most unique is how I started the business. When I retired in IBM after 31 years, I truly had no plans to go back to work. I was going to live off my retirement savings and pension. And then I found out that part of my retirement benefit from IBM was no charge coaching to do a career transition or start a business. And I thought, oh, this is a no lose proposition. I can form a business, and if it succeeds, great. And if not, I'll just shut it down. And thinking about it and working with my coach, we decided that the best thing would be to have a business around the things I was the most passionate about. So it was truly started based upon passion. And when I thought about my 31-year IBM career, the two jobs I really enjoyed the most was my 4 years as IBM's LGBT diversity manager, working on the HR team. And then later in my career, when I was director of sales operations for our consulting practice, I had career oversight for 3,000 employees and developed a methodology that really got people excited about growing and developing their careers. And I felt those are the two things I really enjoyed the most. And so that's what I'm going to start my business around.
Oh, I love it. It's so smart, and that's a recipe for total success. And clearly you're very, very passionate about what you do. Can you share just one thing that has you most inspired about your business today?
What most inspires me is the warm reception I receive from people that I'm really meeting a need. When I do LGBT diversity training, and a lot more of my clients are now focused on handling transgender employees respectfully. Whenever I meet with them and do workshops, I get so many people saying, this is so helpful. We've learned so much. And when I do the career development work, people say, well, thank you. This is really helping me, grow my career, or helping people in our companies get excited about their careers. So I feel like I'm doing a good deed and helping others. And that really makes me feel good about the work I'm doing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really wonderful to hear that there's more workplaces that are trying to make an effort to welcome transgender and gender diverse folks. So really happy to hear that you're participating in helping business leaders get past some of the fear and really open minds to understand how best to affirm and welcome and really leverage the talent of trans and gender diverse people. So it seems like for many out entrepreneurs that we arrive at starting our businesses for one of two reasons. The first is that we either feel a calling to pursue a purpose-driven idea, and the second is that sometimes we feel that we can no longer conform to a workplace culture that doesn't value who we are. Now, your story is a little unique here in that you had a really successful career in corporate America for 31 years, which is incredible. And then you left to follow your passion. So there's definitely an element of the second. But I'm curious, with your time in corporate America, did you have some of that feeling where you knew that you had an idea to do a business, and did you ever think about starting earlier? Can you share just a little bit more about that?
Actually, I never did think about starting earlier, but I certainly had frustration about, I've had my share of bad bosses. I've had a lot of good bosses. And, sometimes I get a little sarcastic and say, it's awful when you have a manager who knows less about what you're doing than you do, telling you what to do and giving you wrong direction.
Mm,
And I always felt, if I could just run my own show, if I can do my things my way, it'll probably work out a lot better. So I've always had that feeling that I think I would like to be out on my own and that I felt that I could be successful going out on my own. So I kind of kept that in the back of my mind during the 31 years.
yeah, absolutely. There are many listeners who can probably relate to you right now. And there's a lot of folks that are thinking about taking the leap. And so thank you for sharing just a little bit about your experiences working as an employee before you started out. Now, on the topic of workplace culture, you're an expert, you're a diversity and inclusion practitioner. I'm curious if you could share one thing that you do in your business right now to create a more inclusive environment, something that you do that you often role model for some of the clients that you work with. And it could be anything from thinking critically about hiring a contractor who represents a diverse and inclusive culture, or thinking about creating economic opportunities for LGBT communities, something along those lines.
Well, for me, I believe it's the two part-time consultants I have on board. I bring them in, when I need to use them, and I realize that there's people that have skills that I don't have or that might have deeper knowledge. So the first person I brought on part-time is a bilingual Spanish-English speaking woman who came to the U.S. from Mexico. And when I need to do diversity training in an environment where they want it in Spanish or English, or I need to do career development interviews for Spanish speaking employees, I bring Elsa along. And then recently I brought Elaine Martin, who is a fantastic transgender woman, onto my team. She worked at a bank and managed over 1,000 employees, and she had her own aviation company with 10 planes. And now she's like on her third encore career, and she's so articulate and has such a deep knowledge, since she is transgender herself, that I bring her along when clients want a transgender person involved with transgender training, and it really, really adds a lot to how I'm engaging with my clients.
Yeah, that's a great example. And I want to shift gears just a bit to focus on your own identity. And again, the way that you started your business is a little bit different than some of the guests that we have on the show. But I wanted to start first by asking you if your LGBT identity influenced your journey to become your own boss.
Absolutely, especially when I talk about, what my offering is, that I'm a diversity consultant with a deep expertise in LGBT. And so having that firsthand knowledge of being G really is an important aspect of my business. And so, when actually, and an interesting story is I once did a presentation on transgender diversity, and a woman came up to me afterwards and said, "Oh, how brave I was and everything," and she thought I had transitioned myself from female to male. But overall, identifying as a gay man and being part of the LGBT community is so core, to my business of being a diversity consultant.
Mhm.
So I'm very proud and out about that.
Thank you. And take us back right now and share a time where it might have been difficult for you to be an out boss. So, in thinking about being in your business, so as a diversity and inclusion consultant, and this could be a moment where you were challenged with bringing your authentic self to your business because you might have been afraid about losing a client or just feeling unsafe. I think if you could share this moment with our listeners, it could really help them understand, one, that they're not alone sometimes in these feelings of perhaps job insecurity, but two, to really hear from you about
Mm.
this challenge and maybe one or two ways that you were able to work around that.
That's a very tough question because I have been so unapologetically out
Hmm.
that, I have never, felt that I had to hide. And I guess I take a, I don't care attitude. If you don't like that I'm an out gay man, that's just tough, which can be kind of cavalier. And I maybe don't recommend that for others. But I really cannot think of a time uh, when I've had to actually back off from who I am. And an interesting story is, I get in some interesting conversations on LinkedIn or Facebook when I post blogs about LGBT diversity and sometimes even get attacked. And one person who even tried to, tell me I was wrong, I didn't back off. And I said, this is the business case behind it, et cetera. And even though he was from an opposing view, he actually invited me to do a webinar with his webinar series. So it's a case where I didn't back down and I was rewarded by that man inviting me to speak.
Wow. That feeds in nicely to the next question that I have, which is if you could share another moment, like the story that you just provided, where you were able to successfully leverage your identity to benefit your business. And I think that because you have such deep expertise, one with lived experience of being LGBT, but two, to actually deliver strategies and approaches to businesses on how they can welcome LGBT folks. I think that that's, as you said, core to your business. But can you share perhaps another story to really inspire some of those folks thinking about starting their own businesses to be authentic, to be 100% out as they're building their business?
I think when I do my training, sometimes people could ask tough questions. And then I get very personal and I share, about things, times when, I was hurt by what someone said. And I bring that authenticity to show, see, this is how this really hurt me and saddened me. And I become vulnerable in the training. And then people kind of understand that this is a personal thing, that, that gay people are fellow human beings with feelings that need to be treated with respect. And putting a human face on being gay, is one of the things that really helped move the LGBT civil rights movement ahead. And I think it's something that we need to continue to do.
Those are really great words of wisdom. And I'm wondering if you could share, if you can, considering all of the ups and the downs of being an outboss. And it seems like you've been really fortunate to experience a lot of those positive moments of benefiting both yourself and your business to feeling very fulfilled in your work. But what do you want our listeners to really focus in on and make sure that they take away to inspire them to bring their whole selves to work?
I think when people are authentic, and I teach this in any aspect of diversity, when you're your authentic self, it truly does build trust with people. That if you fail to be authentic, and then people find out later that you're gay or find out some other secret about you, they might think, they didn't share that with me. Maybe they're not trustworthy in terms of what they're sharing about their business or their business data. And if you're an open book and you're really out about yourself, then people can realize they can trust you, that you'll be a member of the team that doesn't hide information from others or that play games or that's elusive. So that authenticity, I think, is the most important message.
Nice. So one additional question before we take a break. What is one way that your business gives back to LGBT communities?
Oh, actually, I made a list of the top 30 companies in the Raleigh area in terms of giving back to community. And I mean, there are like household names on the list, like Wells Fargo Bank and Blue Cross Blue Shield. And I've always been really high on putting ads in LGBT media and supporting a lot of LGBT and general diversity events in the community. The LGBT Film Festival, the LGBT Center. I've done work with the Black MBA Association and doing some free workshops with them. And I always try to reach out and do various things across the whole diverse community in terms of sponsorships and ads. The City of Raleigh Human Relations Commission dinner, I was recently a sponsor. So I do dedicate, a good amount of my revenue to giving back to various community organizations.
That's an incredible model. So thank you for doing that and really helping build a strong community in North Carolina right now when it's so needed, especially on this. Yesterday was the anniversary of HB2.
And also what I've done outside of North Carolina is I give a certain percentage of what I make to a community center that I've started in Mtito Wande, which is a medium-sized community in Kenya. And the person now leading this work is an LGBT affirming pastor and is doing a lot of work in the country of Kenya in terms of promoting LGBT equality. So I also have that global view in mind that places like Kenya or Uganda, it can be very hard, much harder than in the United States. And so I also give, money and time, to promoting that LGBT equality work in Kenya.
That's incredible. I mean, it's clear that you're living your message of being diverse and inclusive. And I'm so excited to come back after our sponsorship break to talk a little bit more and get to know you better, and also to make sure that our listeners can connect with you after the program. So we'll be back in just a moment.
HR and diversity professionals. Are you struggling with engaging LGBTQ talent? Do you stay awake at night worrying about limiting litigation risks? Have you considered seeking support around these concerns, but just aren't sure where to turn? Look no further. Rhodes Perry Consulting offers you solutions with the Engaging LGBTQ Talent A to Z certification. This proven 4-week mentorship program delivers skills, offers support, and connects you with other professionals committed to transforming themselves and their workplaces. Learn more about this cutting-edge program by visiting rhodesperry.com and use the promo code RPC for a 10% discount. Take action and visit rhodesperry.com.
Welcome back, Outbosses. We are now going into our bonus round where we'll have the chance to get to know Stan just a little bit better, gain some insights on how we can bring our authentic selves to work, and then we're going to learn one way that we can stay in touch with Stan after today's conversation. So Stan, are you ready for some quick fire questions?
I certainly am.
Okay, so the first question. Did your LGBT identity hold you back from taking the entrepreneurial leap, or did it speed up the process?
In my case, it speeded up the process, especially since one of the focus areas of my business is being an LGBT diversity consultant.
Excellent. And in one sentence, what does it mean to bring your whole self to work?
It means to be totally authentic about who you are and not hiding any aspect of your life from your coworkers so that you can build trust with them.
And what's one personal habit that helps you master yourself and your business?
To stay optimistic and realize that if 99 potential clients say no and one potential client says yes, that's a victory and that's good.
So Outbosses, persistence and optimism and just staying focused that's the recipe for success. So thank you for sharing that. And name one thing that you readily delegate in your business to stay focused on what you're good at.
Oh, that's a good question. As a solo entrepreneur, I truly do it all. And I really don't delegate anything. I have to do my own accounting, my own marketing. I guess the one thing I do delegate is I have a web designer who is excellent, gives me good business advice, and is very responsive and inexpensive in creating a good website.
Nice. Well, it's good to hear you're delegating the web piece, because that's a lot of work. So Stan, can you share one piece of advice to inspire the next generation of Outbosses to take the entrepreneurial leap?
My biggest piece of advice is that you, as an entrepreneur, does not mean you have to do it alone. There are so many resources out there that you can leverage, including finding other entrepreneurs who are successful and who will be willing to mentor you and show you the ropes. So you'll get out there and realize that there's a whole community willing to help you.
That's excellent advice. It's actually how we got connected. We're both members of the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, and a fellow LGBT certified business owner, Jen T. Grace, made a great connection. So it's totally true. I think that really supporting other entrepreneurs, LGBT entrepreneurs, and inspiring them to take that leap is so important. So thank you for that advice. And thank you so much for your time today and inspiring our listeners. For everyone, so that they can stay in touch with you, can you share one way that we can find you either on the internet or out in the community speaking? Because you're offering a ton of value, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that want to learn more.
Well, everything is out on my website, totalengagementconsulting.com. You can sign up for my newsletter. You can look at my speaking schedule. You can read all about my business. And if you're still working at a company, I even have some self-assessment quizzes that you can take to see how strong you are in the areas of career development, LGBT diversity, and transgender diversity.
Excellent. And we will have all of that contact information in the show notes for the program. So, Outbosses, thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode. It is always my privilege to connect you with so many inspiring outbosses like Stan. As a next step, please check out the show notes for highlights from today's conversation and consider leaving a rating and review in iTunes. For now, keep being your authentic selves 100% of the time.